In today's video, I'll be comparing Reps X Kleva built Genesis Bar Jack 2.0 to a large double barbell jack that I fabricated years ago. Not only will I go over the obvious nature of a smaller jack having some advantages in a small, limited gym, but we'll also do a side-by-side speed comparison of loading with both the jacks. The Rep Jack is laser cut out of aluminum and has hard plastic handles as well as plastic liners for protecting your bar and ground. It also has a stated weight capacity of 1,000 pounds, which I find an interesting stat. I think y'all will realize why this has me raising a practical eyebrow when we conduct the loading test at 800 pounds later in the video. One of the reasons I picked up this Genesis Bar Jack 2.0 is because my full-size jack has become more cumbersome after shortening my deadlift platform. With a full 8x8 platform, the jack will live on the platform and moving it to and from the bar is simple. But with my shorter 3-foot depth platform, it requires me to roll the bar all the way to the back before levering it up for loading. In addition, the larger jack takes up a decent amount of prime real estate in my gym and it weighs a whopping 38 pounds. The aluminum and plastic Genesis Jack 2.0 weighs around 1.9 pounds in comparison. So first up, we're going to be comparing the loading speeds of both jacks. We'll start off with the double jack. Getting the bar up off the ground with this behemoth is simple. You have a ton of leverage to work with on larger floor jacks. Note at the end the bars dismount from the jack and how I have to pull it further back towards the center of the platform. With a smaller platform like mine, this is an issue and could result in the bar rolling off the back if not careful. Now onto the single Genesis jack. While it does pull the bar over to the front of the platform, it returns it to more or less the middle after loading. The nature of a single side jack means that there will be more steps involved, but I found the loading simple and fairly quick. If you're going to be slamming weights onto the bar, it's worth noting that you'll lose some side-to-side stability with the Genesis jack, but in all practicality, unless you have rage problems, this should not be an issue. Overall, the times of these two loads were about the same with only a 2-second variance. Next up, we're going to be doing a loading test up to 800 pounds in order to show how this little jack performs at higher weights and what type of ground clearances we will have with some bar bend to contend with. Note that this is a 28.5mm Texas power bar that we're loading up. On the plus side, I can report that I didn't have any issues from a leverage perspective getting the weights up onto the jack. While it was harder with higher weights, it wasn't insurmountable. Alright, so we're over 600 pounds here, and I'm seeing that the weights are impacting the floor even when the jack is jacked up. You know, part of this could be the whip in the bar. This is a Texas power bar. It's a 28.5mm bar, but still, I would have expected to be able to load some more weight onto this bar before seeing this issue. I'm gonna try to reposition the jack and see if I can get some more weight on these sleeves. By repositioning the jack, I was able to continue loading up to 800 pounds, but as y'all saw, the clearance gets pretty tight at these weights. I'll have some close-up shots coming up in a few seconds to give y'all the full picture. Alright, so overall impressions, I like it. It's fairly quick, it's lightweight, it's easier to move around a home gym than say the double jack is. When it comes to the heavier weights, you need to position it all the way towards the collar. When dealing with higher weights, getting about a foot from the collar causes just enough bar bend to not allow some 45s on the end of the sleeve. But as we move this guy all the way to the collar, we were able to get this bar loaded to over 800 pounds, which is normally what I load the bar to on volume days when I'm hitting sets of 8 to 10 reps. So slight edge to the double jack when it comes to the higher weights, just because it raises it a little higher off the ground and it gives you a ton of leverage with that long arm. But major props to this little light tool for day-to-day usage on your deadlifts. One critique that I do have on this jack is going to be this plastic on the bottom. I feel like it's fairly slick, especially when being used on a wooden platform. If you're using this on horse stall mats or any matting, actually, that's not a big deal at all. You won't get any slippage. But if you're using this on wood, you will get some slippage when taking the bar back to the ground. I'm sure they could add some sort of rubber inlay going through the center of these plastic pieces in the future to mitigate that issue if they want to, but honestly, I'm assuming they want to keep the cost down and they're just going to leave it with plastic. In addition, at very high weights like that 800 pounds we saw earlier, these ribs in the plastic can actually dig into your plywood platform a little bit. So just keep that in mind. If you want to protect your platform, maybe lay down a thin piece of rubber or some sort of protector. So at the end of the day, this is going to be the new deadlift jack for my gym. I'm very happy with it. My old heavy deadlift jack will be used as scrap steel, likely for another project. If y'all enjoyed this video, hit that like button down below and consider subscribing to the channel. Until the next time, train hard.